Hi everybody, it's Cindy again from Ideas Times 2, and welcome back to our channel, and happy Mother's Day to everybody who is celebrating today. And I would like to do a little tutorial for you today on paper marbling. And so I'm going to be showing you the Suminagashi Japanese method of ink on water. That's what Suminagashi means. And so as you can see, I've already been doing a little bit. I have ink on my hands. This is generally not that messy, but I'm not crafting. Well, I am crafting in my crafting space, but I normally do paper marbling in my kitchen, standing up, and I'm sitting down with my camera set up in my craft room. So things are just not quite the way I normally do this, but we're going to do our best, and hopefully we'll get some good results. So what we're going to be making is hopefully something that looks kind of like this. So here's an example that I made that is using blue, green, and gray. Here's another pretty one that's purple and green and pink. Here's one that's not so pretty. And I have this out not because I'm proud of it, but because you never know. You could pull a couple of pieces of paper that turn out absolutely beautiful, and your next one, doing the same method, same ink, same everything, you'll get something that turns out like this. And you know, being paper crafters and journalers, I know if you have a clinker like this, you'll turn it into something pretty. So don't throw it out. Here's another really pretty one, and this one is actually the same as this one. And so when you pull a piece of paper, there still will be ink on top of the water. You can do another one, and the extra color will come off on the next sheet of paper. Just obviously every successive piece will be a little lighter, and they all have their own beauty. So I always, if I have a good print, I always do another one until it's barely visible. I like those really light pieces. So this is what we're going to be doing. So let's talk about supplies, because this is probably not something you have the supplies for just hanging around your house. So the first thing you're going to need is some kind of a pan, fairly shallow. This is a 4-inch plastic pan. It's actually, don't tell anybody, a litter box that I picked up at the dollar store, Dollar General, I believe. And I went there specifically to find some kind of a tub for this craft. And so I was looking at storage tubs. I thought it would be awesome if I could find a tub that I could put all of the supplies in and be able to store everything together. And they were just too deep. And I discovered that 4 inches or so is about the right height. If it's deeper than that, it's just harder to maneuver. So this is my suggestion. About 4 inches, rectangular. And I also, at the dollar store, they had roasting pans that I thought would work really well as well, but they were $10, and the litter boxes were like $3. So that's kind of a no-brainer. I bought 2 of them, one for paper marbling and one for making homemade paper, and they work beautifully. So that's what I use. You'll notice in the bottom that there is a piece of white paper that has no purpose for this craft. I just thought it would help you see what I'm doing better, because I'm going to be using ink that might kind of disappear into the green of the pan. I didn't think it'd show up really well on camera. So that's the only purpose. You don't need to do that at home. If you do have a pan that is darker and you're having a hard time seeing your ink, don't scrap the pan. You can paint the bottom or put a piece of paper down like I did. And neither will hurt anything. So that's the first thing you need. Next, you're going to need ink. And this is a brand that I really like and I've used successfully. And this is Boku Undo Suminagashi Innovation Marbling Ink. And I believe this was maybe $10. And I picked it up from Amazon, although I have seen it in Hobby Lobby. I'm guessing you could probably find it at almost any craft store. But I do know that you can get it on Amazon. And this is what it looks like. Just tubes of ink. And you get a fair amount. You can actually get quite a bit of marbling done from this size. A lot of paper. So it's a really good investment. It's very cost effective. Here's another brand that I've tried. Color Bank Marbling Colors, and these are tubes of ink, and they come in really pretty colors. Oops. And I've only used this once. I'm using up the other ones first, and but you can see these are beautiful colors. So that's the ink. So you need the pan about 4 inches deep that holds I have about 2 inches of water in the pan. You definitely don't need more than about 2 inches of water. You need your ink. You're going to need some brushes. So for your brushes, you want to have round brushes that can go to a fairly fine point. And these are just, these are just cheapo bamboo brushes. I think I got at Hobby Lobby. But you do not want your brushes to be flat like this. These will not work. So you want something more like this, round brushes. And you want them to be fairly large. You want them to hold a fair amount of ink. Also, you will need like a bamboo skewer or a toothpick, even a hair pick. My hair's naturally curly, so I use a pick, and I've tried, I've used it for paper marbling, and it actually works pretty well. That's really all you need. And nothing for this project is very expensive, but unfortunately you probably don't have a lot of these things laying around your house. So what you're going to do, let's get started. Oh, paper. I forgot to mention paper. You can really use any kind of paper. I really like using a 60-pound drawing paper. Works pretty well. It really absorbs ink well. You can use regular printer paper. You can use rice paper. You can use construction paper, although that falls apart really easily. Rice paper is very delicate, but it works beautifully. Although I would not buy any rice paper until you're really sure, because it falls apart. It's very easy to tear when it gets wet. You can marble fabric. I have successfully marbled both cotton and silk. So a lot of different things you can do. And so let's get started. I'm going to use 2 brushes. You need 2 brushes, and dip them pretty liberally in the ink. And I rest my arms on the pan so that I have some leverage. And you're going to want to just touch the very tip of the brush to the water. And let the ink come out, and then with another brush with another color, you're going to alternate, going back and forth. And if some of the ink drops to the bottom of the pan, that's okay. It doesn't hurt anything. But if you do that like I am, it's partly because I normally don't do this sitting down. I'm usually standing and have a little bit better view of what I'm doing. It's just that you're getting too much of your brush in the water, so you do want to be careful just to get the tip. and just keep reapplying ink as you need it. And keep alternating until you fill up quite a bit of the surface of your water. And I'm kind of rushing, and that's not helping things either. But just go back and forth, alternating your two colors until you get a fair amount of ink. Once you have done that, you can now you can kind of start playing with your design. And I think I'm going to start another circle in the middle, right here in the middle of my circles. I think I made a little mud right there. Hopefully it won't affect things too much. And I'll start another circle, I think, over here, but I'm going to start with green this time. If you would like to add another color, that's perfectly fine too. But unless you're an octopus, starting with 2 works really well. I'm probably going to add a little bit of black. Once you get the basic technique down, there are a lot of different things you can do. With the paper pack that I got, it came with these little paper dots, and you can float those on the water. And I think I'm going to add a little black here. Put a dot, just a dot of ink on there. How about some yellow? Oops. Well, that won't hurt anything, but not. And then using your skewer, you can just kind of tip it, and it will spread the ink. And give you different designs. Once you have your ink floating on the water, and you have a design you think might turn out okay, using your bamboo skewer or toothpicks, you can use it to manipulate the water. And this is where you get the marbling effect, is by very gently, just across the tip of the water, moving that ink around a little bit. Move those out of the way. Get a little bit more yellow, a little black. And you're ready to go. So the way I do this is I hold the paper on opposite sides, opposite corners, and then lay it down just on top of the water and let go. And you should be able to see the paper absorbing the ink. And it looks like this one's holding the ink pretty well. And then just gently taking it out. And I did get a little mud, but not too bad. Definitely something I will be able to use. And then you can rinse it with, yeah, you can see it does have some really nice marbling. And once I rinse the extra ink off, which I will do in my kitchen, you'll have a pretty nice piece of marbled paper. Yeah, normally I just do this all on my kitchen counter. But see, not too difficult at all, right? And I don't know if I can get another sheet off of the same ink but I'm going to try. Do the same thing, just drop it down. I can see that it's absorbing the ink. And then very gently pulling it up. And see, it turned out really pretty, didn't it? Blue, a little bit of yellow in there, a little bit of green, just a hint of black. Hey, Lizzie, don't drink the water. So, not bad, right? I do have, don't step in the ink. That's a good girl. There you go. Another method I'd like to show you just real fast, and move this out of the way. You see my messy stained crafting table, and that is using shaving cream. And I'm not making anything by endorsing Barbasol, but Barbasol actually works the best. You want shaving cream, the foamy stuff, not the gel stuff. And so this is cheap, and it's the right kind. And I am allergic to this, so I'm hoping I don't wind up hacking through the rest of the video. But I generally only use this method for very small pieces of paper or fabric because I don't like to waste it. You need to fill the entire bottom of your pan with the shaving cream. But it is fun to try. And this is great with working with kids, because it is, well, because it's fun. It really is fun. So all you need to do, shake up your shaving cream, and, oh, here comes the cat. No, you won't like this stuff, sweetheart. Spray it in the bottom of your pan. And you do need to make sure that it is flat. Now I'll just use this. I have a squeegee for this. I don't know where I put it. You see my squeegee, Lizzie? Nope, me neither. But you want this to be flat. You want a flat surface. I know you like whipped cream, but this is not whipped cream. One of my cat's favorite treats, since she was a kitten, is whipping cream in a can. And my veterinarian uses that and cheese in a can to keep her interested when she's getting her checkup and her shots. All right, so when you get it pretty flat, surface, then you just drop your ink. I'm going to see what we have in here. And just little, drops. There we go. There's no way to shake this. It's in a tube. There we go. Get some better color. Drop your ink. And if you want another color, let's see, how about purple for something interesting. And I'm just going to drop a few drops of purple. Whoops, that's a big one. And then using, there are a number of different tools you can use. You can use your skewer again, which I think I will, and just run it through. And make your designs. I don't want to make mud. And whatever design you have on here is what's going to wind up on your fabric. This is how I usually do fabric. Should we add another color? How about some blue? Now how about green? How about a bright green? Maybe get some, just a little bit, kind of a little spot of green like they were leaves. And I apologize, I was holding the skewer in my mouth. All right, so once you have that done, then you just take your fabric, your my fabric, unfortunately, is in the same bag. I had a bag ready, wherever the bag with my squeegee. We'll just use paper because we're almost done, almost out of time. You just lay it down carefully onto your shaving cream. Pull it up and then squeegee it off. Which, since I don't have my squeegee, that did not work very well. I may have to just take this part off of the video. That may get no squeegee, and we make do with what we have. But you can see that the ink stayed on the paper, and it's a little muddy here, but that will come off when I finish rinsing it. It'll come right off with the squeegee when I find it. You don't need a squeegee. I have also used an offset spatula. Works really well. Works fantastic. As a matter of fact, I just did a big piece of cotton with an offset spatula. So that'll do the trick as well. But you can see this method is really a lot of fun, especially with kids. So maybe not so much with cats. My cat is literally sitting right by my right elbow watching everything I'm doing. Other things that you might want to use instead of paintbrushes, you can use little pipettes. If you have a steady hand. I don't so much, so I have these, but I don't use them. There is a Turkish method that uses carrageenan, which makes your water really thick, and then your ink just sits on top. I will maybe do a tutorial on that at a later time, but the Suminagashi method is really easy. It's inexpensive, and you can get great results. I mean, we just did, these 2 sheets of paper, and I think they turned out really well. So I'm pleased. I need to go hang them up to dry. So those were the two that we just made. I hope you give this a try. It really is a lot of fun. I think you will enjoy it. And I promise it is not as messy as what it looks like on my crafting table. Usually I keep things pretty neat and tidy. I don't like mess and clutter. And I just do this at my kitchen counter, and it works fantastic. So thank you for joining me today. And I hope you give this a try. And if you have any questions, if I forgot something, just leave a leave a comment below, and I will try to address any individual comments. But I promise you will get some lovely paper if you give this a try. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a fantastic afternoon, and once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Bye-bye.